Hey, awesome people. Paul here again, and so is my mate, Spirit Guide Dirawong. So today we're going to move on from the first topic of honouring your free will capacity bestowed upon you by the Creator. And the second test of the spiritual war is, are you going to take full accountability and responsibility for your life? Holus bolus. There is no caveats, there is no conditions. You are fully responsible. Now, doing that sounds daunting because, let's face it, there's a lot going on in your life. But you can start off with simple little steps. A lot of people have gone towards common law because they begin to realise there's two systems. There's the maritime system, which has been fraudulently laid over the top of the common law system, which is what the country was founded on common law. The original Constitution of Australia, 1900, UK Imperial, was common law based. Over time, the maritime system has evolved and been put on top, and it's a fraudulent act, let's just put it that way. So, common law is where people start to learn how to stand up for their rights and understand their rights and how to do it legally and lawfully, so to speak. And anyone doing that, I applaud you. I did it myself and still do it to a point. You do start to realise that, when you go down this path, you start to absorb a lot of knowledge. Okay? And as your knowledge grows, your knowledge base grows, you then start to see things differently. And there's a few people that sort of have gone down the common law path and done a very good job of it and dived in very deeply and thoroughly. And they get to the point where they start to realise, well, hang on, you're still in the system because law is LAW, land, air, water. It's an acronym. And there's the three letters of that acronym actually are related to the Vatican's crown, and there's three crowns on the Pope's hat, and that's what it's all about, land, air, water. And some people want to actually exit the system entirely, which I'm actually going down that path myself. I'm just beginning that. And some people, when they get to the exit stage, complete exit stage, they start to say, well, there's no remedy in common law and there's no value in it. I personally disagree. I think that's the big stepping stone to exit. It's where you start to learn about your rights, etc., and how to stand for yourself and what's really going on. And eventually, if you do exit the system, it comes down to contract law and trust law. Because everything we do is an offer to contract. You sitting here with me right now is literally a karmic contract. It may not be on paper, it may not be signed, wet ink, but it's still an energetic contract. And the whole shit show of COVID with the mandates. Mandate literally means the offer of a social contract that you are only bound to when you agree and commence the contract. So when you start doing what they say, you then are bound to keep doing what they say. It's a karmic, it's literally an offer of contract, and everything is an offer of contract once you understand it. And that includes when you're in court. So, to take full control and autonomy of your life doesn't just mean common law, although it's a valuable place. I personally think exiting the system and having your own coat of arms and all that, everything like that, your stamps, seals, etc., you start to act as a true sovereign or sovereign, however you choose to say it, is what the actual destination of the taking full accountability and responsibility is. But it's also be responsible for your own food and water. So I'm going to use my grandmother as an example here. And she was born in the late 1880s, I believe, and she died at 92 in the early 1980s. Now, if you think back to, I'm in my 50s now, so if you think back to the generation of my grandparents' era, so you're talking about through the, the 30s through to the 60s, let's say, that kind of lifestyle, they grew all their own food. Supermarkets hadn't taken off. Yes, they had greengrocers, but food was very seasonal then because they didn't have year-round production, global food supply chains. So people literally grew most of their own food every day. My grandmother had it on a quarter-acre block. She had a chook pen. She had a veggie patch that was, I reckon it had to have been 7-8 metres long at least, and probably about 3 to 4, maybe even 5 metres wide. So it was a hell of a lot of produce on the go all the time. And Greta Thunberg would be absolutely delighted because they were greenies. Everything was organic. She wouldn't have to piss and moan about us taking her life dreams away, which is good. So if we get back, use our grandparents as the model, where they had rainwater tanks, so they were drinking literally fresh water that didn't have chemicals put in it, which the ones coming through the tap do. They also grew organic produce and only bought extra stuff when they needed it. Like flour, they mightn't be able to grow enough wheat, for example, so you'd have to buy flour. But everything was home cooked, homegrown. So this is what taking full accountability and responsibility. But we're now still only talking about myself, what it means for me. But then we've got to start it's bigger than me. So how do we do this on a community level? Now there's plenty of models around, plenty of people saying it should be done this way, and I respect all of them. A very popular one is the My Place model. And again, there was finger pointing going on for the guy that invented that, Mr. Darren Bergworth, who I've spoken to, and he seems like a decent bloke to me. I could be wrong. But the My Place model seems to be popular and gathering momentum, and that is community-based, bringing people together. So within those networks, you could have a food exchange. So I might grow something that you don't, and we could exchange because I've got too much, for example. And it doesn't have to just be food. It could be other support networks. Could be there's a lady in the Daylesford area that does. I can't think of the name of the model she uses, but it's if I remember it, I'll throw it out there. But hers is literally trading skills as well. So I may have a skill that you may find valuable. It might just be chopping wood for one of the elderly in the community before winter's comes along, so they've got firewood. And in return, they may make me a bloody nice cooked home roast meal, for example, and I might be happy with that. As long as I'm happy and they're happy, who cares? So we need to start getting back to that our grandparents' era with grandparents' mentality. Get back to community and neighbourhood and knowing your neighbour, helping out people in need, because no one gets through this life without needing any help. So maybe it's a paying forward thing. So, taking full accountability and responsibility for your life. That is the second test of the spiritual war. So in the next couple of videos, I'm going to go a little bit different on the tangent, but I hope it's enlightening for you. So until next time, it's ciao from me and it's ciao from him, and we'll see you when we see you next. Ciao.